All right, so I'm going to talk about credit. Like, it's something that is frowned upon a lot by a lot of the middle class, and it's mostly because people just don't understand it, which is truly unfortunate. Credit is not as complicated as it appears to be. There's a lot of these trending posts lately on threads, on Facebook, on X, all over the place, where people are like, well, I paid off my car and then my credit score dropped, right? I paid this off and it dropped. I paid off my credit card and it dropped. Okay, first of all, yes, it did. It dropped, but it's momentarily dropped. Normally it lasts a few weeks or so, and then your score will rise again. And the reason it drops is because what does that score mean? Which that's what most people miss. Most people are like, well, this system is so corrupt. It's got me, like, it's a system that we all live by. We're forced to live by, yet the thing is there's lots of people like Dave Ramsey who teach to live without credit, right? They teach to live beyond credit. Now, you can be one of those people who make all the right choices from the time you're a child and live without credit. You can also be one of the people who live and make all the right choices and utilize credit. Or you can be one of the people, like most of us, who mess up again and again, and you can still recover. You can still recover, you can still bounce back, you can still fix any mistake you made. It's totally possible. Now, it takes a little effort and it takes some understanding. That's what the biggest thing is understanding. Learning what it is that's holding you back, learning what it is and what it all means. So what does a credit score mean? A credit score is basically is how much they can trust you. Like, that's it. Is how much they can trust you. Because you're nobody. That's it. You're nobody to them. They've never met you. Would you loan someone you've never met money? Would you loan someone you've never met your car? Would you give someone you've never met the keys to your house and say, hey, go live there and just pay me when you have a chance, right? Okay, but that's basically what you're going to the bank and you're expecting them to do. You're expecting them to finance your car, finance your house, your set up credit cards. You want to do all these things, but they don't know who you are. You're nobody. Your credit score tells them exactly that. It tells them who you are in regards to reliability on payments. So if you pay something off, that kind of takes a little bit of reliability away as far as your ability to continue making payments. Now, that seems counterintuitive because in your mind, you're like, hey, I'm successful. I made a lot of money. I was able to pay that car off. I saved up. I made my payments every month. I kept putting some stuff in savings. Once I had enough, I paid the car off. Isn't that an awesome thing? That is an awesome thing. And that's why I said it's a momentary drop. It drops because in the short term, in that very moment that you pay it off, it's kind of like a flag. It's like, well, are they scared to continue making payments? Are they still dependable for making payments? Did they just get fired from their job and their dad stepped in and paid off their car because their dad was, terrified of them losing their vehicle? I mean, the thing is they have no idea any of that information. And you could sit here and say, well, that information doesn't matter. And truthfully, it doesn't. It really doesn't. But all that matters is your reliability to continue making a payment. So that's why the most effective way to boost your score is to keep a revolving credit line. Now, that could be a credit card, your Discover card, your MasterCard. You could even get just a department store credit card. Totally easy to get. And you can get a gas card. Gas cards are awesome ways to boost your credit. Why? Because gas cards do a couple of things. You buy gas, right? Okay, you buy gas. And if you're smart and if you're careful and you're a financial minded person, you have a budget, an allotment for, hey, I'm paying X amount of dollars in gas every week, right? Okay. So if you say, I pay X amount of dollars in gas and you set that aside in your budget, what you do is you put that in your bank account. You put it in your savings. You remove it from your site so that way you forget about it. I'm putting it in my savings. I'm not worried about it. And you use that gas card for swipey. You said, I normally spend, let's just pick a number. Say you spend $60 a week on gas. Maybe you spend more. Maybe that number is astronomical to you. Doesn't really matter. Let's just say you spend 60. So 60 times 4 is 240. So that's $240 a month in gas. So your gas card, when you first apply for it, you'll probably get a $300 credit limit, $500 credit limit. Maybe if you're really, got a just stellar credit score or whatever, you might get like a $700 credit limit or $800. But most gas cards don't give you that big of a credit limit because who spends crazy amounts on gas, right? So ultimately, you're rarely going to ever max it out, right? Because it's $300, $500, $600, and you have a $240 a month budget. So every week, you go and fill it up every Monday, every Friday, every Thursday, whatever. You fill up your gas tank, you use that gas card, but you take the cash and you put it into the savings. You're like, you swipe, put it in the savings, swipe, put it in the savings, swipe, put it in the savings. That way, that money to cover your gas, you still used it. You put it aside. And then at the end of the month, when your bill comes in and say it was a little over, $265, right? You spent $265 in gas on your credit card. Okay. So when your bill comes in, your statement says you spent $265, you only owe $30. That's all they're going to ask. They're going to ask this small little piece, right? They're going to say you owe $30 for the month. You don't want to pay $30. No. Because that's not going to do anything to help you. That's just going to accumulate interest. Now, the credit company is going to love that, though, because you're going to pay that $30. They're going to collect their interest, and they're like, man, this person's paying $30. But see, the person who always pays their minimum like that, it not only increases your interest, but it lowers your credit score also. People don't realize that, but it does. Now, what's going to boost that credit score is when you, at the end of the month, you have a $265 bill, and you pay $254. $254. You leave an $11 balance. Now, what's the interest on $11? Depending on the credit card you have, it's going to be 1% or 2% or maybe even less. Maybe you got a good credit score and it's like 0.5% or something. Or maybe, whatever. It doesn't matter. Even 3%. I mean, you're not looking at that much. You're looking at a couple of dollars, right? You're looking at a couple of dollars that you're spending in interest. That couple of dollars. Now, you can look at that as a bad thing. Well, I'm losing like $3, $3 in interest. $3 is nothing, man. People who don't pay off their credit cards, they're paying tens and 20s and 50s and hundreds. They're paying lots of money in interest. You're not going to do that. You're going to pay a couple of dollars. And that couple of dollars, you're going to, like I said, you're going to pay it all the way down, leave $11. It's called a revolving balance. That means you always keep your balance very low. You owe them very, very little. But you keep it revolving. You use it every single week. You fill up on gas. And that revolving balance is going to boost your score. It's going to boost your score. Now, if you ever pay that card off, this is tricky. You pay that card off, you're like, oh, well, I just feel like I'm paying it off this month. You're going to, if you're one of those people like my lovely bride, who check your credit score on a weekly basis. Sometimes she gets the updates sent to her phone like a couple times a week. Yeah. So if you're one of those people, you have it set up, you'll notice, hey, my score's going up. My score's going up. My score's going up. I paid off my credit card this month. I just didn't want to deal with it. Or maybe it was an accident. Maybe you just got on there and just hit pay balance. Pay balance. Okay, so you paid the whole, 265, 258, to whatever. You paid the whole balance. Then you're going to look next week and your credit score is going to drop. Why? Because they think you're scared to make payments. They're like, well, he has no balance. Can we really trust him to continue making payments? Now, that seems counterintuitive. That seems weird, but it's not. You're asking a stranger to trust that you will not stop making payments. If you have no balance, then there's no payment to be made. They want to know that they can believe that you'll never miss a payment. And they can only trust that you'll never miss a payment if you are continuing to make payments. The minute you stop having any payments available or any payments owed, then your reliability is kind of hinged on what comes next. Are you going to take out another loan? Are you going to get another car note? Are you about to finance something else? Are you about to put more money on another credit card. I mean, they don't know what's next because they can't predict. So they base everything on what they can see. You are nothing but a number. And now, see, some people are going to take issue with that, and they're going to be like, how am I just a number? I'm a person. No, you're not. You're not just a person. Because when it comes down to it, you have to be just a number. Because otherwise, if you're a person, then they have to consider all kinds of factors. And all those kinds of factors take into account many different feelings, emotions, biases, and all kinds of other things. If you are nothing more than a number, there's no bias. There's no feelings. There's no emotion. There is no care or concern. They don't care about you. They don't love you, but they don't dislike you either. They don't care. They don't know you. You don't matter. You're just a blip. You're a number. You're one of many, many people that they are trusting. They're entrusting with a credit line. So that way you can take that credit line and do something that otherwise you wouldn't have been able to do on your own. Do you have the money to go buy a house right now? You probably don't. Most people don't. Most in the middle class don't. Do you have the money to go buy a car cash? Most people don't. Sadly enough, even a lot of the ones that do have the money, they prefer just to finance anyways because they just don't want to spend all that money and it just be gone, which is weird, but it's way better. So the thing is credit matters. There's a lot of people who frown upon it. I know some people, I've got some people very close to me who will tell you, man, just have no credit. Just have no credit cards, pay them off and cut them up and you don't need credit. No, we're in a society that functions based on credit. Because you want to buy something that's ultimately way too expensive to buy, like a house, like a car. And there's nothing wrong with buying a house or buying a car. If you can buy a car and not finance it and buy it cash, man, do it. If you could buy groceries without ever financing your groceries, now that sounds weird, but if you put groceries on a credit card, that's exactly what you're doing. You're financing them. But if you can get a store credit card and start putting your groceries, putting your, hygiene things, your incidentals, your monthly expenses, put them on a credit card and then pay that credit card nearly off, keep the balance, try to keep it between like $6 and $11, $4 and $11, right in that sweet spot. You want to keep at least $4 on there and you want to keep no more than like 11. And it's weird. There's an algorithm that plugs in all the numbers and it can really break. I can't tell you why all the math works out, but it does. Keep between $4 and $11 on there and pay the rest off. So don't ever swipey of anything that you can't afford. And then you'll be okay. If everything you swipe, you can afford to pay it back next week. If you have the money in your bank right now and you're like, hey, I could buy that with cash, but I'm going to use my and I'm going to move this to savings, do it. And then when the bill comes in, take that money out of savings, pay it. Just pay it right from your savings account. That's what you need to do. And then I assure you, your credit score will continue to go up and up and up and up. And then these people who have this idea, well, if I pay this off, then I'm going to hurt myself. No. Pay it off. Good for you. Pay off your car. Pay off your house. Pay these things off. But keep a revolving credit line. As long as you keep that revolving credit line, even just as simple as a gas card or a JCPenney's card or a Target Red card, keep something like that revolving. Then you paying off your house will drop your score. You paying off your car will drop your score. Within a matter of weeks, it will shoot back up and it will be at least slightly higher than it was before, but maybe even get even higher. It will, because your balance to debt ratio will offset that lack of payment, and then you'll be back at the point where you're trying to keep that revolving balance of your credit card, and that's going to keep your score going up. That's what you got to do. I know it sounds weird. Trust me. Stay tuned. I'm going to do some more videos and some more posts about credit and just helping people to understand it, because I think it's a tricky thing that so many people just lack a basic understanding about, and they think the system is just designed to get them. And I assure you, the system works. The system's flawed. I'm not saying it's not flawed. All of it's flawed. Everything in our society is flawed, but it works if you learn how to work it for you. Make it work for you. All right, it's your boy. Share this with somebody. Maybe it'll help someone. Y'all stay tuned. I'm out.